Dubai real estate at its core is a bit of a cottage industry.
Each and every piece of the amenity was designed to encourage people to be active.
Is there real value between content creation and direct sales?
On one hand, you have 30 years of cold calling and you have one viral video through which you can reach out to 1 million.
Floods in Dubai.
It's insane. 3-4 days later, there was nothing.
Betterhomes, we launched Prime about 2 years ago, and we came up with Dubai's top 50 homes.
It's counterintuitive for me to create my niche there where people have already established.
Luxury real estate broker on people that have been in the market for 5 minutes.
We would not have become the top 10 players if we had not been given a chance to enter the arena.
Where do you think artificial intelligence is going to add to the real estate space? Hey everyone, it's a lazy Saturday afternoon and I've got some really interesting people from the real estate space in Dubai. I've got Rick with me, who's the CEO of Betterhomes, a very established figure within the Dubai real estate circles. I've got Dr. Baydoun with me, popularly known as the Doctor of Dubai Real Estate. Welcome.
Thank you.
And I've also got Farhan, who's a disruptor himself, who's the entrepreneur and the face behind Revo Realty.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, love to have some introduction from each one of you. Rick, love to hear from you.
Thanks for having us. It's great to be here on a Saturday afternoon. My name's Rick Waind. I'm the CEO of Betterhomes. I've been in real estate for the best part of 22 years. Started my career in London. I was there for 15 years in a estate agency and acquisitions, but all within the sort of estate agency world. And I left South London behind for the sun, sea, sand of Dubai in 2017 and never looked back. So here I am.
Well, I've been in the real estate sector for more than 22 years, actually. I'm an architect by trade. So most of my involvement in the real estate sector is on the development side and the design side. I've been heading the development of DAMAC for the last 6 years, in addition to being an influencer on social media as the Doctor of Real Estate. And recently I established my own ultra luxury sales team in DAMAC, which is specialized in high-end experiences and high-ticket items.
My experience is extremely humble in comparison to Rick's and Dr. Baydoun's. I have been in real estate for around 8 years. And Revo was started in 2021. And the way we are different is Revo was started not as a real estate brokerage, but to make this world a better place. And a part of our revenue goes towards charity. We just happen to be in real estate and happen to be very famous on social media.
Amazing. So I'll start off with Rick. You've fairly seen, Betterhomes has been a very established brand.
Yeah.
It's been there for a long time. How do you see the context of real estate changing, especially on the brokerage side, with all these new players coming in, content creators coming in? What's the moat for Betterhomes right now?
Oh, some big questions there. So yeah, we've been around since 1986, and I've been in real estate, a bit like yourself, since the early 2000s, and the change in real estate from then to today has been massive. Every single day we used to come in with a newspaper and we'd circle the properties at the back of the newspaper. That's how we started our day, right? And to think like that is just
It was
crazy.
cool, actually.
Yeah. I'm so glad I'm going after that one. That's what we used to do. So it's changed massively, right? And I think Dubai real estate in particular is going through a period of big change. We've had obviously an explosion in terms of the number of brokerages and brokers in town. It's incredibly competitive. 5 years ago, I think there was about 1,000 brokerages. There's now about 5,000 brokerages.
Wow. Yeah.
And as we were saying a little bit earlier, it's almost a democratization of brokerage.
Right.
Because everyone who's now got a phone is a content creator, and that content creator can reach out to an audience that we were never able to 5, 6, 10 years ago. So I think it's really exciting. That brings some challenges with it, but it's really exciting. And then I guess the future, brings in AI and all those other things that I'm sure we'll talk about throughout the day.
And I think speaking on content creation, right? Like there's this recent, I'd say, crackdown on cold calling on real estate. It's a space. There's also been news of there being a natural, reasonable sanctions on that across companies. So as a result, a lot of real estate brokerages or real estate sales teams have moved towards content creation. The question is to you, Farhan and Dr. Baydoun, is there real value and a connection between content creation and direct sales? And if there's any numbers that you guys can share with, how does that actually relate to increase in sales?
Look, from my perspective, the problem today in the real estate sector when it comes to content creation, there is a generalization. Yeah, I'm a content creator on real estate, but you have to be more focused. What's your aim? You want to generate leads? You want to recruit agents? Or you want just to make your brand more famous?
Right.
more recognizable.
Right.
What's your target? And accordingly, the type of content will vary. And I understand that you could put an entertainment layer on top of the content to make it entertaining for people to digest it in a better way. But what's happening now, many of the content that's being created is more on the comedy side and no value added. As far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty much focused on what I'm doing. Like, I'm addressing an angle related to the technical side of real estate, how people can read a layout. How could you assess if a bedroom is properly designed or not? How did you know if the number of seats in a 3-bedroom townhouse are enough or not? Along with other technicalities, how you measure the sellable area in the unit in Dubai. That's one aspect. The other aspect is the agents themselves. Like, for example, you just mentioned cold calling, and that's a very, very big problem. I'm not saying that people or the agents shall not be approaching the lead. They can, but they need to be smart. Again, back to the point.
Right.
What kind of value you're adding? Like, if you drop a message to a person that owns an apartment or a villa, and you would tell him that's the performance of similar units to your unit in your cluster or in your area for the last 6 months, definitely he's going to open the report. He will be very curious to know what's going on there. If you drop him, sir, I'm a real estate agent, are you interested in selling your unit? He will never even bother to open the message. Now, content creation has to go through the same exact logic. What kind of added value to who? And then once you put your plan together and you focus your target, then the mean to achieve your target will be more clear.
Right. What about you, Farhan? How does that work for you? I think it works in a lot more direct and tactical way for you.
Yes, so first I'll talk about the cold calling. There is still too much of cold calling in Dubai real estate, and I feel the fine has to be bigger. Once it is 150, 200,000 dirhams, that's when it will really stop. And I'll tell you why it should stop. So let's say there is a person X who is making 100 calls a day. In a year, if he is working for 300 days, he is making 3,000 calls.
Right.
In 33 years, he will make 1 million calls.
Right.
He makes a good video, adding value, and uploads it on social media, and it reaches 1 million. There's just 1 or 2 days, or let's say 1 month of effort of uploading multiple videos, one of them goes viral.
Right.
So on one hand, you have 30 years of cold calling in which you are reaching out to 1 million, and you have one viral video through which you can reach out to 1 million.
Right.
So I feel content creation is the future, and we have been doing, we were nowhere, absolutely nowhere when we started 2.5 years back. I had no money. We started from a 120 square foot of office space, which was as smaller as this table area. We just had this one table in the office, 6 chairs. That's where we started from. Today, we have a 10,000 square foot of office space. All of that has happened because first, content creation. And second, again, 50-60% of our business, people would look at us and think, oh, most of their business is coming from content creation. It's not about content creation alone. It is about who you are deep down yourself. So if you are someone who is genuinely there to make lives better for your investors, you will do well. So more than 60% of our business comes from existing clients and their references.
Right.
But that content gives us the edge to be present in front of more and more people. And we start from there, give good services, get references and businesses.
And it does convert directly into sales. Like, content does convert directly into sales. Like, would it convert into DMs? Or would it be about the fact that a piece of content is seen by someone before they walk into a meeting? Is that how you
it helps in a lot of different ways. So for example, we have run marketing and we have seen the conversions on marketing versus organic. So I'll tell you how is it different. When someone is inquiring on a paid ads. So for example, every time you have inquired on a paid ad on Meta would show you similar 5 or 6 ads. So the same client is inquiring with 5 or 6 brokerages, and then it comes down to who has more experience, who can overcommit more, who can exaggerate more, who can do unhealthy practices like giving pass back.
Right.
Versus organic. How does someone inquire with you on organic is, he will not inquire with you on the very first video. Right. He will see 2 or 3 videos, and then he will inquire. And when he is inquired, he already has an image of you as someone who is influential, someone who is successful. So the way the client talks to you on cold calling versus paid ads versus organic is completely different. So I have my people, and I know as a matter of fact, they cannot tolerate the kind of rudeness the client shows on paid ads and cold calling versus the way they talk when it's organic. And the way we capture leads, again, it differs. You can have automation replying to every single comment. You can have automations replying to every single DMs.
Right.
We have simplified it in a way. We have created landing pages. So we capture the leads via the landing pages of the agents. Then we have automations running which nurtures the lead and everything.
Got it. I think speaking of something which is perhaps on the complete other side is, I believe one of the biggest USPs, or I'd like to sort of call it the moat of Betterhomes, is securing exclusive properties. And I think it starts from, I sort of read something very interesting, is property management is perhaps the door or the entry which you get into these properties, and then eventually it sort of develops or sort of evolves into an exclusive relationship. Is that a right assessment, and does that really how it works?
Look, I think we've got about 7,000 units under management. Within that portfolio, we deal with some of the big families and big companies here in Dubai, and a lot of those people, of course, have land banks.
Right.
So yeah, undoubtedly, we've got some really good relationships through the property management space. But yeah, exclusive projects for us is big, and it's going to be even bigger over the next couple of years. One of the big challenges in the marketplace at the moment, as I said, there's lots of competition in the market, and there's huge competition for inventory. Right, one of the biggest challenges in we're smiling because we know it. Right, one of the biggest challenges is we could personally sell out pretty much every launch ourselves,
right?
But we don't get the inventory, right?
Yeah,
we don't get access to it because we things have got to be shared out, and I understand that. So if we have got exclusivity, and when we do have exclusivity, we do open it up to the full market. But obviously, that gives our brokers something ready to get their teeth stuck into.
Right. And speaking of how inventory gets shared, how does that?
I'm interested in this.
Exactly. How does that happen? Is it relationship based? Is it because I think evolution of the market is also a function of how inventory gets shared, right? So how does that happen currently? And Dr. Baydoun, how do you see that happening in the future?
Before, it was mostly related to the performance of the agency and the loyalty to the brand, and which was understandable because when you have top performance, you need to give them something extra. Now, that factor is still there, obviously, because you need to be loyal to your people. But now you see, given the amount of agents in the market, there are a lot of agencies that are performing. So you need to give them the chance.
Yeah.
So now the allocation for the top performance is an X amount, which is, to be fair, is less than before. And now it's more of the performance-related allocation. It's the survivor of the fittest who's able to enter before, book before, and convert. And that's happening, by the way, across the board. I know now, like, people used to see like the customers aligned in the rows or the sales centers, and people are not seeing this as much, and they don't understand why.
Yeah.
Particularly over the last couple of months, because all the agencies, all the developers, including us, now we have online platforms to book the units and applications. And now the agencies are pretty much using that. Before they used to refuse, like, no. We don't want to go the old way. Now they're getting the advantage of using the online apps because, again, they're securing the inventory early on. And that's why you don't see as much madness as earlier in the sales centers.
Which is good though, right? Because it's not a good look for Dubai. I don't like to see people charging at sales centers, starts people thinking about bubbles and all that sort of stuff. So I think it is much better as long as the logins work and that side of things, I guess.
I promise you it's working from our end at least.
We are the proof it works.
Yeah, exactly.
We have been on both the sides. We have been on the side where we were no one, and we still got the units in DAMAC. And now we are in top 10, and we still get, as doctor said, there are some units which you can get, but you have to be the top performers. So they take care of both the parties, the ones who are loyal to the brand and the ones who have just come up.
Yeah, because it's only a fair game. You need to give also a chance to people that are trying to enter the league. It cannot be exclusive to a limited number.
For example, we would not have become the top 10 players if we had not been given a chance to enter the arena.
Exactly. Exactly.
Is there some weightage given to, let's say that, I'm sure this probably Rick would be in a great position to answer, but let's say there are international brokerage firms who also have massive interest in the region, and that interest is exponentially growing on an everyday basis, right? How do they kind of make that entry point in the region with their international experience, which is great for the market? You actually get someone who understands other evolved markets, is present in different geographies. Would someone like that have an advantage working in the Dubai market? And if not, why?
Multiple factors that would play a game in this. First of all, you need to see if that territory in general is familiar with Dubai.
Right.
Because you will be surprised. I've been in multiple roadshows, and you make the assumption that everyone knows about Dubai. Well, most of the people, but not all the people.
Right. It's growing for sure.
It's growing for sure, and sometimes there is language barrier. Like say in China as an example. And China is a very good example. I've been to multiple roadshows there, and in areas that outside of the main cities, you will find many people like they heard about Dubai, but they don't know the basics. They know Burj Khalifa, they know downtown, they know Dubai Mall, but they don't know how the economy is working. They don't know why Dubai is that safe. They don't understand the economic plans of the leadership here in Dubai for the upcoming 20 to 30 years. Because remember, when you are bringing an international investor, it's not his first investment that he's doing in Dubai. So he's a veteran. So he understands that investment in real estate is not just driven by, I'm buying, I'm leasing, I'm getting ROI. No. He understands that this is part of a bigger piece. It's part of the overall economy and how it's performing. So that's one category. So before you give him any exclusivity, he needs to educate his leads on the market itself. Once you reach that stage, you bring him, you do fly-ins with them. And remember, although we sell out in hours, but that doesn't mean that we don't have other inventory to be sold. Part of it is our ultra luxury also, so if you're interested.
And talking about ultra luxury, Dr. Baydoun, and I think we were talking about this right before starting this podcast. Interestingly, you also have a direct sales team who's working along with you and your leadership to sort of drive direct sales. How do you balance a brokerage interest with your direct sales team, and why have a direct sales team to sell ultra luxury?
I love this question. Why have a direct sales?
Look, I'll tell you, and the team that I am leading, because on the overall company strategy, the answer will have been different. On the ultra luxury, we have two reasons for which we have direct and indirect. One of them is that I'm focusing mostly on the agencies because they have a lot of connections internationally. Like take Richard is a good example. He knows the UK market like the back of his hand. So the moment if I want to do a roadshow with him in UK, like he's gonna call the best of the best. Like I have full trust in him when it comes to that market, among other territories. You will have people that are specialized, let's say in Russia. People are specialized in China. So it's counterintuitive for me and go and try to create my niche there where people have already established that. But at the same time, given like, again, my role as social media influencer, many people would contact me. And the moment I announced that I'm now leading the ultra luxury sales team, many people are getting in touch with me. And it makes sense that I pass this to my team to close with them. Why shall I be wasting those deals? And the trick is very simple. If that person is registered already under a different agency, already booked in my system, the deal goes to the agency. He's going to get his share. But if he's a fresh lead coming directly to me, so it makes sense to close with him.
In terms of ultra luxury, Rick, I know that you've recently sort of also pioneered and started Prime.
Yeah.
And you have this recent property of top 50 homes, and it's an interesting marketing exercise to sort of acquire inventory. Take us through the difference in the customer experience for someone who who's looking to purchase an ultra luxury property, and how is it different from, let's say, the mass or even the premium market? And from your experience, how does it start? If you can give us some interesting sides on that.
Well, look, I mean, first and foremost, Dubai in the last sort of 5 or 6 years has probably become the number one market in the world for luxury and ultra luxury, which is great. You know, we've seen a real shift, and we've seen a real shift in terms of the interest of people moving here, particularly from Europe. We've had a real shift in Europe sort of post-COVID. And to reflect that, Betterhomes, we launched Prime about 2.5 years ago, and that's our ultra-luxury team. They're the most established and experienced brokers we've got in the team. And we wanted to make a bit of noise about that in a very crowded marketplace. So we got our heads together and thought, let's do something a little bit different. And we came up with Dubai's Top 50 Homes, which was a competition we launched last year. It was a lot of fun. We got about 400 entries.
Wow.
So 400 entries across Dubai of like some of the craziest, amazing properties you've ever seen. We're looking for homes and not show homes, right? So things that people have been living in.
Functional.
But the things that a homeowner's poured their heart into, right? Because that's when it gets really interesting. You
100%.
You design homes and they're all together, then open the door a year later and see what's inside them, right? So it was really fun. It was really fun.
100%.
We took 400, we scaled it down to 50, and then we got some really cool people together as the judging panel. Maybe you're next year on my judging panel next year.
Pleasure.
We did the competition, and we gave some prizes away. It was a lot of fun, and we just relaunched the second year of it last week. So right now it's open for people to put their names in the hat for it. So that's a lot of fun. Look, but in terms of doing deals at that level, it is all about connection. It's all about network, and it's also all about transparency and knowing your business. I think there's a lot of people. It makes me laugh. I see luxury real estate broker on people that have been in the market for 5 minutes, and it really like a luxury real estate broker. You look on LinkedIn, and 2 months ago they were doing they were selling cars or something, and and bless them, it's fine,
right?
But it's like any industry. To get to the top takes time. To get to the top takes really honing your craft and honing your knowledge. And when people are spending a lot of money, guess what? They want to deal with somebody who knows what they're talking about,
Correct.
who's got
100%.
experience, who adds value to their search. And that takes a bit of time. So I think that's an important thing for people to understand. You're not just going to walk in, get off a plane into Dubai and be a luxury real estate broker overnight.
But
Honestly, I'd like to add to it because
please.
Richard just tackled a super important point. The issue is now the agents, they assume every single retailer in Dubai, they assume that all what I need to know to sell a property, sellable area, I just need to talk the customers through the layout, I tell him the price, the payment plan, and I'm done.
Right.
They are so wrong, particularly when we go to his category, the ultra luxury, because then those customers or those buyers are very sophisticated. Most probably, it's not even his second or even her third home. He knows the business very well, and he saw the best of the best. He bought in south of France, he bought in London, he bought in Miami. He knows the game. So when you sit with him, he doesn't want to hear about the money at the beginning. That's the last of his concern. He wants to understand the lifestyle. He wants to understand what's special about the community, the building or the unit that he's buying, and how his lifestyle could be different. What are you offering him different than the market? What are the finishes? Which kind of marble? And why? Why you picked up this marble in particular? Why you picked up this feature wall in particular? Why the swimming pool has been put longitudinally or in the other direction? Because you tell him that the view is from this direction and this one is ideal for the laps. And that's why we have a shadow. That's why we put it from this angle in the villa. He needs to understand all of that. And that requires a lot of experience.
And knowledge.
You need to sell tons and tons of homes. And preferably, like if you have technical knowledge in that area, then that would be the best. It's impossible, like to sell a townhouse today and tomorrow you sell a mansion. It's absolutely impossible.
I'll probably push it a little bit. If you have I wouldn't say a crazy story, but if you have a story which is kind of out of the ordinary for someone like that, where you had an instance of selling an ultra luxury property or interacting with someone who had to buy an ultra luxury property, and you thought that the requirement or the demand of the person was out of the ordinary. I'd love to hear an instance, if any.
Okay. So I was, but not going to mention the territory, the project or anything.
Right.
Okay. So I designed one of these special mentions, and a very, very VIP person came and he wanted to buy. And then the sales people called me, they told me, doctor, this guy is giving us a headache. We don't understand what he wants. He's interested, but there is something we're not able to capture it. That, okay, bring him, let me meet with him. I sat with him and I brought everyone out. So I want to sit with him one-to-one. And I told him, I took him through the layout to explain to me how you spend your day. He explained to me how he enters, he comes from home, he sits, the day is over, so then we go to bedroom.
Right.
Then, well, that's the toilet, that's my wife, and I sit in the bed while she's getting herself ready. Then I got the trick.
Right.
Then I told him, like, I think you want to introduce mirrors in the bedroom from that angle, like for you to have full visibility on the bathroom. He said, yeah, I want that.
Damn.
The moment we added the mirror, I sold him the mansion.
Just about the mirrors.
Takes a long time, say.
Why people don't understand, sales is not just about the logic. There are so much emotions involved. And you need to be emotionally smart to understand what the customer wants.
Correct.
Don't shove the product in his throat. No. Understand and give him what fits best with his requirements.
At this point of time, Farhan, from a point of real estate, if you had to talk to a young rookie who actually has bright eyes, wants to make it in real estate, he definitely has to disrupt, right? What do you think would someone who wants to start out today in real estate, a real estate broker, would have to do differently to succeed and flourish in this market right now?
First, when the tide is high, every boat will float. So you don't judge the quality of a boat when the tide is high. You judge the quality of a boat when the tide is low. Is it going to float? Is it going to sink? And I feel when starting out, it is really very important to not start out seeking money or fame which this industry gives you, because this is the only industry in the world where you could be absolutely nobody one day, and it should not happen, but it is the way it is. You could be somebody in a month, in 2 months. You could be very lucky, find a good client who may end up transacting 100 million worth of portfolio from you. It all comes down to whether you are sustainable in the longer term or not. So people who are chasing money and fame, they do exceptionally well for a shorter term, and then they get blinded by the money. They end up doing some mistakes. They don't work on themselves, and then you don't find them in the market after 5 or 6 months.
Right.
We have seen so many cases like this. People showed immense potential. They would close deals, make a lot of money, and then 6 months later, 8 months later, you don't see them in the market anymore. Versus the people who join this industry because either they love this industry, or they feel they can become a better person in this industry, or they feel they can disrupt this industry in a way that no one else has done. Right. So when you enter this industry not for money, career, or fame, when you enter this industry, for your own self, then you do better.
So what's that one space in your opinion? And you could give, I mean, I'm sure there are many, but let's say that one little space you think no one's doing enough in that, and I think that's a great opportunity within the real estate space, especially from a primary, secondary transactions point of view. Is it technology or content, whatever it may be?
So one thing that no one has done so far is automated content creation. For example, now with the AI coming in content creation, all the agents, they are shooting their own videos, but no one has actually implemented AI. So for example, let's say a tech genius were to come, I can shoot, let's say 4, 5, 6 videos a day. But if he's a tech genius, he inputs his voice, he inputs his face to the AI, he can shoot 500, 600 videos a day.
Is there a gap in credibility? And I'm coming to the other side, which is completely on the other side of the table. Is there a gap of credibility when someone does that? Rick, what do you think?
Well, it's not been done yet, as we said. So ask me when it's been done. No, look, I don't think so. I think AI in tech is definitely coming. It's coming very, very fast. I was having to play around on Midjourney. Have you been on Midjourney?
Yeah.
Like,
it's very cool.
I was doing it. It was. I was doing.
We've got pro accounts on that.
I was doing the talk to the team, and I was like, "How do I make a picture of me looking angry?" So I just I typed in like bald, handsome real estate broker smashes up laptop, and it came up with this really cool like manga picture. I was like, that's amazing,
That's
right?
a crazy idea.
It's so cool, right? So cool. So I think you're right. I think finally, not too distant future, I'll be able to create a little video myself, and it'll go off and do its thing. I think tech's an interesting space in Dubai real estate, because Dubai real estate at its core, from a brokerage point of view, is a bit of a cottage industry. Right. It's lots and lots and lots of small businesses, and it's become more fragmented in the last 4 or 5 years, because every broker who quite rightly, they think I can do this, and they go for it. They don't always realise the costs that go behind it. And actually, your business model is brilliant. Hats off to you, because we were talking earlier about how you approach it in a very, very smart way. But I think because there are lots of small brokerages, there's not necessarily the size in this market for somebody to really invest in tech like you'd see in other markets. So you see markets like the US and the UK, huge market. I mean, the US in particular, huge markets, right? Not many of the big tech firms have looked here, because actually we're quite a small market in their eyes. And then to adapt what tech they have over there takes time and money and effort. So I do think tech is coming, but there are some challenges to it.
There's a lack of a critical mass in terms of businesses.
There has been, CRM, all those sort of things, but it's coming. It is changing. We've got a tech team now that we set up in Pakistan about 2 years ago. I know some of my colleagues in other big brokerages that we're all really pushing together. So there'll be a bit of an arms race, I think, in the next couple of years. So it'll be really fun to see.
Correct.
It'll really fun to see who focuses on what bits in terms of it. Yeah.
And to add on to what he said, I mean, if I were to look at it from government's perspective, they would not want 10 years down the line 5,000, 10,000 brokerages. Correct. They would want a handful of brokerages, because when you have a handful of players, it is easy to regulate the market. Correct. For example, every time they want to implement something, they email out all the brokerages, and then they try to catch up with them. Are they following the practices or not? And it becomes extremely difficult when you have more than 5,000 companies.
True, absolutely.
So in future, from their perspective, they would want to organize this sector.
So absolutely. But how does consolidation happen in a sector like this? Because it's a group of talented people you're acqui-hiring. I mean, you're not really, like, for example, in the UK market, you probably acquire a company and there's a rental book of business. You get it, right? But here, you're just acquiring a set of people, and that's not a very safe proposition to acquire a set of people, isn't it?
In my opinion, the easiest way is to raise the entry barriers. For example, if I want to open a real estate brokerage in Canada, I first need to get a license, then I need to have 2 years worth of practice, and then I can open a brokerage. The easiest way is to raise the entry barriers, which I feel the government should be doing in future. As of now, any Tom, Dick and Harry can come and can open a real estate brokerage.
That's true.
Yeah. The pie's big, right? And I think there's enough out there for everybody, right? And so I want to make that point. I'm not sort of here going, close all the other brokerages down. You know, we like a bit of competition and you know, I wish everybody well. But I do agree, right? The barrier to entry is very, very low. And unfortunately, that doesn't give our industry the best name because there are a lot of people out there, frankly, who haven't had the training, they haven't got the focus, they're not in it for the right reasons, as you say. And that damages all as an industry. Tech helps the sort of fragmentation of the marketplace, right? I think what is going to bring it back in the coming years is when the market tightens up.
Correct.
Right? The costs of running businesses have gone up exponentially from office space, salaries, marketing costs. They're just going up and up and up and up and up. And you quite rightly said, you know, what will happen, everyone can flow in a good market. What happens when the tide goes out a little bit, which it will. No market lasts forever. There will be ebbs and flows in the coming years. I think we'll find out some people have been swimming without any pants on. Exactly. If you're not making money today, if you're a brokerage owner or a business owner today in this market and you're not making money, you've got a real problem when things turn.
And talking about it from the real estate development side, Dr. Baydoun, how do you see the sort of the burgeoning, sort of this scene of real estate brokers? Is there effort or cost built to actually manage this larger ecosystem? Because we actually were working with someone who's an upcoming boutique premium real estate developer, and one of the biggest problems was to attract the attention of real estate brokers to actually sell their properties, right? That problem, I'm sure, doesn't exist in the market, but it does exist in, let's say, upcoming real estate companies. How do you suggest they should deal with attracting the attention of real estate brokers, especially when there's so many of them?
Look, I think the market's going to filter itself. The biggest and the most important decision that was taken by the UAE government is to make cold calls illegal. Right. But I just hope that this will be more forced and more action is taken upon that. The moment you drop this, automatically the ability of people that doesn't have the network or they're not really into the sector of the real estate will not be able to reach the leads and the people. And automatically they'll leave the sector. It's going to happen on its own. Now, there is something a bit more dangerous, which is basically the ambition of agencies to become developers.
Right.
Because it's very simple. As Richard said, if you are now an agency, you made money, so what's the next step in the food chain? Becoming a developer.
Yeah.
And for the wrong reasons, just to make money.
Yeah, exactly, to make money. What people don't understand is that to make money on the development side, it's not just about buying a piece of land, hiring a consultant, designing a building, getting a contractor, and you're done. I promise you, if that's your mindset, I promise you, you're going to lose money. Right. And I'm going to give you a glimpses why.
Sure.
One, when you buy a land, how do you know if the land is convenient or not? How do you know the type of the soil it can handle the number of floors that you are buying? How, and that's a very important technical detail, and I created a video about it on my social media account. People don't understand that what they buy is not the same that they sell. When you buy GFA is not what you sell. You sell sellable area. GFA includes the internal area of the units. It includes the corridors. It includes the lobbies, all the common areas. It includes the course. Right. The sellable area is only the net internal area of the unit plus the balcony.
Correct, the livable area.
So only someone that's highly experienced in that domain will make sure that you're getting an efficient building. A designer doesn't know that game. They don't understand this. An architectural design consultant doesn't understand the game of efficiency. That's one. Second, once you bought the land, okay, now it's coming for you to design it. How can you be cost efficient in the way that you do the structure and the MEP? People don't understand that the hidden components inside of the walls are the most expensive. By the way, finishes is peanuts in the big scheme of the games. The actual cost is in the concrete. And again, only someone that's a veteran will be able to challenge structural engineers to make sure that you are going for the most smart solution to make the structure slim, to reduce the cost, and also not to ruin the internal space of the units, because quality is important. You deliver the first rubbish building, you're out of the game. The third, is how that they don't understand that development is a game of volume. So for you to make good money, you need to have multiple projects running at the same time. For you to have the overheads distributed over a bigger quantity of projects, and again to have the leverage to get good rates with contractors. If you are missing all of those points, I'm not missing one, missing any one of them, you are gonna run out of the development business in no time, and the money that you have made as a real estate broker, you will lose it very easily in the development game.
And to add on to what he said, if it was so easy to be profitable in this sector, why would a lot of major developers up until 2020 or 2021, they were making losses?
Right.
So they are making profit today because they have sustained that time wherein they were making losses year after year.
Yeah.
What people expect today, whether it's brokerages or developers, you see a lot of money in the market. So you just want a piece of that cake and you just think, okay, let me just go in, get as much money as I can and sell as many properties as I can, irrespective of the details, irrespective of the quality, irrespective of being actually capable of taking care of the clients or the project. It all comes down to making money.
But there must be some, purely from a point of brokerages, there must be some non-linear product innovations which are possible. I'm not just talking about technology, but one example, and it's often talked about, is let's say fractional ownership, right? Like is fractional ownership something which a particular brokerage could completely specialize on, hypothetically, right? Or it could be, or could it be the fact that they're involved with not just exclusivity of certain properties, but are actually involved with right at the stage of development with a developer at the start of it, to kind of build something together with in collaboration. Are there still non-linear models which are possible in brokerage, or is it still saturated and it's just about, hey, I'm just going to pick up the best property?
No, look, I think all brokerages and all companies in all across the industry trying to find different and innovative ways to grow, right? Fractional ownership is interesting. People have been talking about it for 15 years. It's not new, right? And why hasn't it quite caught on? You know, there's an issue around liquidity. You know, it's not a liquid asset you're talking about, so getting in and out of it isn't as easy as, you know, when people really look at it. But I think it is something here to stay. There are a couple of quite good players in the marketplace. They're not brokerages, they are investment firms that work with brokerages to get inventory and put it together.
Technically, they're financial institutions,
correct.
actually.
And we sell properties to them, right? They buy properties through us. We work with a couple of them. So so that's how we get involved in it. We won't do we're not financial institutions, so we let them get on with that bit, and we do what we do best, which is sell houses, right? In terms of your point, and I fully agree with you, right? I'm a real estate broker. I'm an estate agent. I understand selling houses. I have no idea about the soil I need to build the thing on, right? So that's not a space we're going to get into. But what we do is we work with developers. We're working with a well-known family at the moment. We've actually worked with them for about 7 years. They've constructed 3 really good projects in Dubai. They've always done build to rent. So they've always kept these rented. We've always done the exclusive rent for them. And about a year ago, they decided, right, we want to try and actually take something to market for sale. They know their stuff in terms of construction, but we have been from inception with them. What should we build together? Size, and you know we've got a evaluations team. We've got a consultancy team under CRCV. Those guys have been involved. So throughout that whole process, we've been alongside them. What's the strategy to take it to market? What's the sales strategy? All that sort of stuff. So that sort of stuff we can very much get involved in. And again goes back to that exclusive mandate point. It can be it can be a really good relationship all around.
To add on to this crowdfunding part, so I have myself experienced a point. So I have worked with GetStake, Smart Crowd. We are working with Crypto Blocks right now. So there was a point in time I thought, oh my God, this can really click. And we were really short of funds. So I thought, okay, this is a way, if we sell this, we may be able to secure some funds. I'll tell you the biggest challenge with crowdfunding is, you think that because the ticket size is smaller, it's 500 or 1,000 dirhams, you will be able to sell more of it. But I am telling you, selling 1,000 investments of 1,000 dirhams is 10 times more difficult than just finding that one client and selling a property of 1 million dirhams. Because when
you're going to find 1,000 of them for a start instead of one.
Yes, and secondly, so even if someone, whether they are investing 100 dirhams, 500 dirhams, 1,000 dirhams, I have generally seen them do the same amount of due diligence that they would do for a 1 million property. Because someone who is investing 1,000 dirhams, he may only have 1,000 dirhams with him.
Right.
Someone who is investing 1 million dirhams, he may only have 1
The
million dirhams with him.
involvement is much higher.
Yes, so the involvement is much higher. So it is much easier to close one property of 10 million dirhams than to close 1,000 clients on a 1,000 dirham investment.
You're 100% right. And I think also there is a very important point that people that are following this model are technically missing. Because again, it's a financial institution, right? And what's this financial model is based on? It's based on two things. Finding a property, transforming this into shares, because technically you're buying a piece of the SPV, special purpose vehicle. You're not buying piece of the property.
Right.
And then leasing it to generate revenue, right? For you to get the best revenue, you need to have the highest possible return and the lowest possible cost.
Right.
To have the lowest possible cost, you need to be someone that's highly networked in the market, someone that bought in bulks to be able to secure the small ticket price and that's a notch below the market. And also you need to be someone, let's say, that has a big volume that you want to lease for you to be able to generate the high revenues and to minimize your cost. And then once you do that, this is the edge at which you start making the 7, 8, 10% return on investment. Miss one of those pieces, you're going to go as low as 2%, maybe you're going to go negative. And that's why you will see a lot of agents or whatever they call themselves, they want to jump this after they saw like a couple of big institutions like Pripco blocks that entered the market.
Right.
Yeah, we want to copy that model. It's not for you. You don't have the stomach to digest this model.
Right. I think from an end consumer point, it's perhaps better to put the money in the bank than actually try to get into fractional ownership.
If you
Is that
are
what it is?
Unaware of it, so I feel fractional ownership needs a lot of awareness. For example, I myself, if I were given a choice to invest in conventional real estate versus fractional ownership, same amount, I would, if I do not want any headache, I would choose fractional ownership.
Right.
Because again, it is regulated. It
Mitigates
is
my risk as well.
Yes, mitigates your risk. And as Doctor pointed out, it's regulated through DFSA. You're a part of SPV. So your risk is really low and you get all the reward without going out renting the property, without finding the right property, without finding someone to resell the property to.
Right.
So all of that is really mitigated.
Got it. And coming back to Dubai and its sort of attractive state in this part of the world, and there seems to be a lot of talk around how Riyadh's kind of positioning itself to challenge that position potentially. What are your opinions on this?
That's the $1 million question.
I think it's more about where do you see these places, not currently, but let's say 10 years from now. And it's just a prediction at the end of the day.
Yeah, of course. Look, I think the competition between Dubai and Saudi, or UAE and Saudi, is fantastic for Dubai and the UAE because it's keeping us on our toes and it's keeping us pushing forward, right? I've been over to Riyadh a couple of times, and what's happening over there over the last 4 or 5 years is pretty crazy, and it's incredible. I think it was only 2019 that they brought out for the first tourist visas.
Exactly.
You know, that is 5 years ago. And from where they've gone from there to today is you know, insane, right? And it's commendable, but it's still a long way behind, right? Let's have this right. I think it is a world behind in terms of livability and attractiveness, frankly, for the vast majority of people in the world who are coming to Dubai. And Dubai and the UAE in the last sort of 3 or 4 years, probably post-COVID, has recaptured the imagination of the world. Dubai, when I first moved here, there was almost a little bit of sort of looking down on Dubai back then. Certainly in the UK, when I came out for it, that's not there at all now. Whenever I say I'm going to live in Dubai, everyone's like, "You live in Dubai? Oh my god, that's amazing!"
Everyone's doing it.
Yeah, right. It wasn't like that 6-7 years ago. So I think Saudi, you know, next 10 years they'll keep going. I think they'll bring in foreign ownership, which I think they'll probably look to launch sometime this year or into next year, which will be interesting. But I think we'll stay one step ahead.
And is it still from a real estate brokerage formation point of view, is it still a long way to go, let's say in terms of getting licenses or trying to sell? Are there practical difficulties, or is it perhaps not even at this point of time realistic to set up something there?
We've got a couple of businesses already over there, in the fit-out space in particular. We're doing some work over there. And where we see a bit of an opportunity is actually in the commercial space, so commercial real estate space. That's because you've got international companies going in there, international mandates. There's a bit more of, I suppose, there's a bit more comfort around payments and collecting your fees and those sort of things. Whereas I think still the residential space over there, there's obviously no international sales, and we feel it's probably still a little bit fragmented for us to go in there at this stage. So it's more of a commercial play, I think we'll do.
And on this, my view is a little different. When people talk about the competition between Saudi and UAE, I always tell them if Middle East wants to become the next Europe, they cannot think about competition. They have to think about how do they complement each other. So just like we saw during FIFA World Cup in Qatar, tourists who were flying into Qatar were also flying into Dubai. So if they can integrate all of this, remove the borders, have some kind of visa-free travel where you can take road trips or take a train and attract tourists as a whole to the entire Middle East experience, I feel all of these places will grow by default. And also with all the insecurities around the world, the wars, the coup, the economic situations, the world is automatically moving to Middle East.
Right.
And then you do not have any taxes. So if they learn to complement each other, I feel Middle East can
that
become
would make it, and that probably even work for the industry much better.
Yes.
Honestly, Farhan, I think he brought this in an interesting dimension. But let me first to start with the strategy. Look, for you to be able to compete with Dubai, you need to see the path that Dubai went through. Dubai was not created overnight. I think it's an easily 30 years process. So for Saudi to reach where Dubai is today, also there is a long path. To be fair, because Dubai is the first entity that entered, let's say, that market of positioning one of its cities as one of the number one international city in the world, obviously there were a lot of lessons that were learned that the competition can learn from. However, there's also a very important factor, which is the size. Size does matter. So in Dubai, the size of local population is only around 3 to 4 million.
Right.
In Saudi, you have 50 million.
Correct.
Which means that you have a lot of internal, let's say, challenges that you need to make sure that you're covering before you think of bringing international investors and becoming seen on the international scene. However, as Richard said, what they've done over the last year is fantastic. Do I see Saudi taking away a portion of Dubai's share anytime soon? With all honesty, no. It might happen 10, 15 years later. Within the realm of 4 or 5 years, I don't see it coming. Plus, they've done a fantastic job on the construction and the development. But what I've learned out of my humble 20 years plus of experience in the field of development, building cities is easy. Building human infrastructure for those cities is way more challenging. Right. And that's going to take quite some time. But going back to Farhan's point, what people don't know about Saudi Arabia is not just the desert. They have so many natural resources and natural areas that are fantastic. And actually, this is when Saudi can complement Dubai, and we have, like, let's say, tourist trips that combines both territories together, which is going to help Saudi from one side to overcome the challenge of going through the whole path that Dubai has been through. And that can add, let's say, also a value to the touristic experiences that Dubai is providing and have a more comprehensive experience for the visitor of the Middle East.
And speaking about different lifestyles when it comes to real estate preferences, of late you've seen newer and newer developments coming in which kind of focus more on the lifestyle of the consumer, right? Now, there's some which are now focused on outdoor lifestyles, there's some which are focused on fitness and sports. And do you think there's a big enough space for now where properties actually are based more less on of course on the location, but more about what's the lifestyle of these consumers? Is there a premium to pay for that?
3,000%. Like, there's no doubt about it. One of the projects that I've launched is Volta. And it was the first fitness-oriented building in Dubai, and created a journey by which you could burn 1,000 calories each and every day.
Just no lifts. Got to go up the stairs, yeah? Save some money as well.
But over the last 2 years, actually, that theme is being is having a different flavor. People are realizing that being fit or looking fit is something, and being healthy is a different story altogether. And actually, what's your aim? You just want to look good in front of the camera for social media, or you want to live longer? Yeah. These are two completely different targets. Right. And honestly, I've been attacked multiple occasions on social media because I keep telling people having the biggest quantity of muscles on your body is not healthy, which goes against everything that you hear on social media. How come you need to have the biggest quantity of muscle that will increase your metabolism, that increase your lifespan? No. There is an optimal quantity of muscles that you need to maintain on your body. And I believe it just to take away all of the supplements, let's say the steroids, anything that's processed that you want to enter your body, and you work out. Personally, I'm a believer in calisthenics, which is bodyweight exercises. That's a separate story. Your body on its own It's going to develop as much quantity as it needs. That will reduce the pressure on your ligaments. That will reduce the pressure on your tendons. Also, at the same time, what people don't know, we have a limited quantity of blood in our body, like 4 to 5 liters. And it has nothing to do with our size, by the way. And the way our muscles are fed is through oxygen. And the oxygen reaches our muscles through the blood.
Right.
So when you have a bigger quantity to feed, then the share of the brain from the oxygen is less.
Right.
Your concentration is less. Your reflex is less.
Right.
And also on the long run, you are feeding your brain with less quantity of oxygen. So ideally, once you reach the optimum balance, this is where you could achieve longevity. This is where now the lifestyle is important. Now people are realizing that being active is more important than working out. These two are not the same. If I work out for 1 hour per day and I'm like stagnant the whole day, I'm not being healthy. Right. If I'm skipping my workout, but I'm walking from one place to another and during the whole day and I'm being active, physically active, or doing some gardening activities, definitely that's something that's better. If I'm eating processed food and processed protein and any of those supplements being promoted on social media, definitely you're not getting whole food. We are designed to take whole food, which is as big as possible with the least amount of calories and the highest number of nutrients that you could get. And you can get only that from eating actual food that's natural, not processed. And the third element is the social life.
Right.
If you have a context where you are surrounded by friends, by people that love you and you love them, you laugh every single day. Yeah. If you achieve those 3 pillars, this is where you could live longer. So, and I'm not doing an ad here, but that's the concept of Riverside, actually.
Rick, I heard the story when in your first few days at Foxton, where you mentioned that one of your superiors actually had a piece of wool to actually check if the bed sticks on with the wool, and that would actually ensure that the...
So where you go with that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So times have changed, isn't it? Like in terms
from
of
managing people point of view. He did. I'm actually seeing him in London next week. I'm going to have a good friend
I'd
of
love
mine.
to hear the story. I think you guys should know. It's very interesting. This is
So this, you know, look, the world has changed, and I know my good friend Jean Jameson, JJ, won't mind me telling this story. But when I was a sort of 21-year-old, 22-year-old estate agent, we were. It was a strict office, right? You full tie on, Windsor knot, 3-piece suit. Still got my photo of my first day there, like the most horrific suit, brown tie, it was bloody awful. But it was a clean shaven rule. You had to, you boys would be out the door straight away. And he used to have some cotton wool in his drawer, and if he stuck the cotton wool to your face and it stuck on, he'd send you to go and shave.
They do that in the army, by the way.
He's ex-military.
That explains it.
Yeah. He also used to have a baseball bat that said, "If I don't make you work this well." I mean, it was kind of in jest.
Yeah. I'm sure times have changed drastically since then. In terms of sort of retaining talent, right? Like because it's a free market. You see some really talented brokers going and starting off, branching off on their own. How does a brokerage firm of your scale actually ensure that these people like sort of are engaged and stay on?
The world has changed, and just to be fair to Jean, I ended up working for that guy for 11 years because he was actually a mentor and he was a great guy, and he did a lot of stuff to help and push us forward. I think it's quite simple. I think the world has changed, and how you achieve these 3 things has changed. But fundamentally, if the team are earning and they are learning and they are doing it with a smile on their face, they're having a bit of fun along the way from time to time, then why would they go somewhere else, And that's kind of the 3 pillars. Are they earning some money? Are they learning with an opportunity to grow, and there's opportunities for them to grow their career? And are we, trying to enjoy our life while we do it to a certain extent?
100%.
Then I think, but that doesn't mean everyone's going to stay with you forever, and they shouldn't do. We've all at times moved companies for other opportunities, and that happens. And vast majority of the time, wish them well and they go with our blessing.
If you don't mind, I have a question to both of them actually. Sure. I was inspired by what Yassi said. Look, historically, a real estate agent used to wear a suit perfectly from head to toes. Now, I see multiple trends, and I want your opinion about which trend you believe is the right one in real estate. I see the extreme where people are wearing 3-piece suit all the day long, Rolexes, head to toes, brands, LV, you name it, it's all there. And you see and you see all sorts of content about showing off wealth by real estate agents. Watches and cars are the two most classics. And you have the other type of people that are kind of fit. They look more on the casual side.
Hipster. The more hipsters.
Exactly. And you feel that they are, because they are active, they're more engineering, but they are way less formal. And you don't see them wearing any of those fancy brands.
Yeah, and if I may add to it, is there a cultural specificity to it? Are the crypto coin billionaires different from the old school billionaires?
I'm not sure there's many billionaires selling real estate. They're the ones buying it. Look, 10 years ago, you could see an estate agent in London because they're the only people wearing suits with a tie, right? Everyone else had stopped. The bankers had stopped. The lawyers had stopped. It was just estate agents walking around in three-piece suits. I really don't mind, to go back to your point, wear whatever makes you comfortable. In our office, some of the guys wear suits with ties. I tend not to. I tend to normally have a jacket, a pair of chinos, and a polo or a shirt on. Whatever makes you comfortable, whatever you think represents yourself in a professional way to your client. We do have some sort of base rules. You know, you have to look professional, and it's business casual or business suit. Is kind of
flip flops, obviously.
No flip flops and no shorts, boys. You don't look that good in the shorts, right? Exactly. But one thing I would say, and maybe this is a cultural thing, but I don't think it is, because I think people do this from all over the world in real estate. I have to say that the ostentatious display of wealth from brokers, I find fairly unpalatable from time to time. I'll never forget, one of my favourite things was seeing a real estate brokerage owner sat on the bonnet of his G-Wagon with the sign saying "Be humble." I mean, the irony of it, the irony that was lost in it was absolutely genius. I kept a screenshot when I was showing it. But it's, we're here to sell houses, right? We're here to help people in a really important time of their life. They're either investing in the moving house, and as you say, we should be doing it in a way to improve people's life. Make money, great. I'm all about making money, guys. Don't get me wrong.
100%.
We're here to make money for ourselves and our family, 100%. But I don't necessarily feel the need to shout about it too much.
And to add on to what he said, I think a lot of it comes down to the way you have been brought us. For example, in India and Pakistan, people like us, we have been told to respect the authority. Right. And how do you know who is authoritative? So subconsciously, we are programmed to respect the people who you see in suits. Right. And there were, in fact, a study done, I don't remember, it was Harvard or Princeton. They did this study where on a signal, a man will dress up and he will be in a three-piece suit, tied up. And when the signal is red, he will cross the road. And he will also cross the road when he's in casuals. The amount of people that crossed the road with him when he was in a three-piece suit, completely suited up, was 39% more when he was in casuals. So subconsciously, throughout our childhood, we are told to respect the authority, to respect our teachers, and then our bosses, and our seniors and superiors. So we are conditioned to, be more receptive, or to be more listening to people who look authoritative, and subconsciously that's for the people who are suited up.
The fact that someone's suited up formally kind of adds to the authority of the person. At least
it should not, but subconsciously it does.
Got it.
Subconsciously it does.
Got it. And coming back to how you run the company, because I know that I'd seen this video about a call for 100 content creators, and this kind of comes back to what I was asking Rick about retention, right? What is it in this new phase of real estate brokers who are content creators? What is it that you provide as a company uniquely for content creation, which actually is not something which, let's say, traditional real estate brokerage firms do?
I'll tell you my hack. Roughly 20% of our revenue goes towards charity. So it's lesser money for the company and lesser money for the people. It has helped me immensely in hiring the right people. Because when your marketing strategy is that we offer the lowest commission in the industry. Right. Now the people who are in it for money will not come. Right. The people who are in it for the vision, for the purpose, and they really want to make this world a better place, they are the ones who will come. So we hire people who align with our values. And it's not that we have a perfect hiring. We have hired people who are not aligned with our vision, but we just figured it out that every company has its sets of values. And if the company sets of values matches with the person's sets of values, they will never leave, first. And second, it's also about respecting people, making them feel that they are heard and they can go and do the changes, and they are not someone who's completely ignored. And plus, the most important part is paying them money on time and being transparent with them.
Right.
So a lot of companies right now, I mean, I have seen that industry where 50-60% of the brokerages are not paying the commissions on time. Right now they are. But we all know what will happen once the market is not as good as it is right now.
Yeah.
When it comes down to choosing whether to pay the people or to run the company, a lot of the brokerages are going to choose to run the company, not pay people. So yes, it comes down to first hiring people who align with the set of values which company has, treating them with respect, listening to them, and paying them on time.
Right. I just want to bring attention to the recent announcement on the sort of Dubai airport and how that's expanding in the south of Dubai. Do you think that's an area, if you look at it, let's say 8 to 10 years from now, would that be a space which would become the center of real estate development in Dubai? What would that areas be which someone who's just an investor at this point in time can look at, and which is not perhaps the most obvious things right now?
I'll give you a very interesting answer to that. Because there is a general misconception by people that the moment there is an airport, the value around it will be increased, which is more or less right. But there's a very important technical detail. Planes, when they travel, they have a cone of flying.
Right.
And technically, anything that's high-rise around airports is not allowed. And there's also that noise that comes with it. So projects that are not directly next to the airport, but within close proximity, that's enough to have the convenience of transport between the airport and the new community/project. And at the same time, they are not close enough for it not to be disturbed by the noise or by the airlines or by the flights. Then those will be the right areas where the value is going to go up. People will not going to notice, they're not living it.
Right.
But a smart investor will pick up one of those projects that are outside of that radius. You buy in those, the airport is completed, the value of this property is going to go up.
What does an airport bring? It brings jobs, it brings supply chain, it brings industry, and all that is obviously good for jobs and property and the rest of it. I actually think Dubai South and that area, not just Dubai, but that whole area. A couple of years ago, I used to look at it and think, okay, you've got the expo, but actually price point wasn't that dissimilar back then to say an Elan in Tal Al Ghaf or Mag City. It didn't make a lot of sense back then. I think fast forward to today, it really, really does, because the price point you can get down there and the property you can get down, the quality is very, very good. And the other thing that I think is playing more into people's mind than ever before is traffic and getting around. It's far quicker to move from south to north today than it is to move from east to west in Dubai. Yeah. So if you try to get out of Business Bay where we are at about 5 o'clock in an evening, disaster, right?
Complete.
But actually the traffic down in that Dubai South area, as it develops, as it has its own industry and its own areas of commerce, I think is a really, really interesting point.
And I think also the connection towards Abu Dhabi. It's more closer towards that side. And I think that entire stretch from Dubai to Abu Dhabi is perhaps going to be laden with projects as we go along.
That's one. But I think the point of Richard is very, very, very important. Because let's say now, I work, our offices is at the TCOM, DAMAC Executive Heights. So the people tell me, isn't DAMAC Hills far away? No, it's not far away at all, because in 25 minutes, I can leave the office at peak hour and reach my home. If you want to go to Business Bay during the same hour, I need easily an hour. Easily. So definitely commuting between those areas and the business centers is important. Personally, I have a theory. I'm not sure it's going to materialize. I think the business centers in Dubai are going to be replicated. We're going to have more of a decentralized model. We're going to use new office hubs. There's so much now demand on offices, but now the demand is only on Sheikh Zayed Road. Right. Sheikh Zayed Road, it can take as a certain quantity of projects, certain quantity of supply. Right. It cannot go beyond this. Then step number 2, when it's going to be fully saturated, is to look at new centers. If we have a new center close in the area where you have the new airport, that will be the perfect thing, because then communication or transport between your office and your home will be easier. You are close to the airport. You have a complete urban hub.
And what I feel about it is, I mean, you throw a stone anywhere right now in Dubai, wherever it lands, the price is going to appreciate. And it is going to appreciate more in Dubai South. The reason being, I mean, you look at who else is investing with you. So it's not about your 1 or 2 million dirhams. When you have got developers like DAMAC, MR, all the top names are investing billions of dirhams in an area, obviously the way the area looks is completely going to change. So as of now, it's just sand. This is where you should get in when it's just sand, and you should exit when the community is completely developed, because this is where the maximum amount of value changes. From sand to a fully developed community is where you get the maximum amount of value change, and is where you make the maximum amount of money.
Right.
Second, the city generally, historically, has started from the airport. So as of now, when we look at Dubai, we think Dubai starts from downtown business or the airport side. 10 years into the future, Dubai is going to start from DWC. Third, I mean, Dubai has consistently for the last 3 years been ranking number 1 in Greenfield FDI. And they are so far ahead that Dubai is better than the next two players, Singapore and Tokyo combined.
Right.
So, and a lot of that FDI is coming in Dubai South. It's
Right.
coming in Javs and Javs extension. They get around 25% of the FDI of Dubai. So that area already has a lot of employment. That area has the world's fastest sea port to airport corridor. You already have Dubai South Free Zone, you have Javs extension, you have Dubai Industrial City, you have Dubai Investment Park, you have Jebel Ali Industrial Area, you have Dubai Healthcare City, you have Expo City, you have so many things. So when you are around population hubs, the demand is always going to be there. And when the demand is there, the prices are always going to rise.
And in terms of like sort of some tectonic shifts, there's been this recent floods in Dubai, and there's been massive amount of rains. While I think a lot of people perhaps look at it as a sort of a mirage or change a larger for better, but are there lessons to learn for real estate companies across the ecosystem? I'm not just talking about developers. I'm even talking about facility management companies. Are we talking about fit outs, brokerage firms? Love to hear your thoughts on that.
Look, that's a point that I'd like to start with it.
Yeah.
First of all, the event that happened is one of the 75 years event. And I promise you, any city in the world that would have faced the same amount of water would have been completely flooded. And given Dubai is Dubai, it was able to recover within few days. Like I was in Mina when this happened. I just told you this, Richard. By the time I came back to Dubai, 3-4 days later, there was nothing. It's insane.
Yeah.
Plus, there is something very important that people do not understand. In other territories where you have more topography, it's not that the infrastructure system there is better, but when the infrastructure system fails in such territories, the natural geography and topography will lead the water towards the sea, which is not the case in Dubai. Right. That's something that came from God. We cannot change it. So definitely Dubai did a great job in designing the infrastructure. And that event was one of the 75 years. And if it happened in any city in the world, the damage that would have happened would have been way, way worse.
Right.
Your questions, what are the lessons learned? I'll give you my view from a humble technical perspective. Given the fact that you don't have a lot of topography in Dubai, what we could create is a number of artificial lakes in Dubai. From one side, it's going to help us in creating more premium areas around which we can create developments. And at the same time, those can act as tanks, natural tanks, in which we connect the infrastructure system. So when there is an overflow in the infrastructure system, those will land in those lakes. And accordingly, those lakes could be connected then to the sea, because by that, when there is an overflow from the overflow reserve, that can go back to the sea. It requires a lot of, obviously, financial investment from the government, and that's my humble view as an expert in the urban development. And I'm sure that the government is also aware of that. And yeah, it's not like I'm not reinventing the wheel here. I'm sure the governmental experts also that are planning for that.
I'm thinking about it.
I totally agree with the doctor. I've been here 7 years, and certainly it was a 1 in 7 year event, wasn't it? From what we saw.
Exactly.
And within 48 hours, 72 hours, we were all pretty much back to where we were before. We've got an FM company, Octopus. They were incredibly busy. They were the heroes within our organisation, right? There was 20 vans out there doing their best. We actually lost a couple of vans, unfortunately. And I think it probably is sort of playing into the mindset of buyers at the moment a little bit. Also, people thinking about how do you waterproof your property a little bit, myself included. Just small modifications, because I think whilst that was a 1 in a 70-year event, I think we are seeing a little bit more rain than we used to. We are seeing a bit more cloud seeding, which is a positive, I think, in terms of the city in general. So
And we should not stop it, by the way, just to be
agreed.
clear.
Yeah, I don't think we should stop doing that just because of this event. And it wasn't a cloud seeding event, right? It was
a natural
event.
occurrence.
So I do think, therefore, if we're going to be in a slightly more rain. Experience more rain in the city, then of course, when people are buying properties or they're developing properties, I suspect they will put waterproofing slightly higher up the list than they perhaps would in the past.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Farhan?
Everyone wants to see a giant fall. So everyone's talking positive about Dubai. Dubai has got this, Dubai has got that. And then in hundreds of positives, they just found that one negative. So everyone had to really focus on that negative because it was kind of, how do you say, would get you more views, would get more attention. So a lot of this was just that.
But on a larger level, I think before this, we were planning to do a podcast with people from the insurance sector. And unfortunately, we couldn't because they were really busy sorting out things with what happened, right? Are they changing agreements, let's say, on the clauses of agreements that you guys sign with buyers, with other institutional companies? Has there been something which has changed or anything which has actually got more importance?
On a sort of, it was an interesting couple of weeks in the brokerage world.
Yeah.
We do a lot of work in the secondary market, and we were selling houses. And as per the MOU, you are taking a property as seen when you bought the property.
Right.
So the problem with the properties weren't as seen when you bought it, right?
Exactly.
They've had some flooding, but in general, none of the properties had any sort of structural damage. They needed a bit of cleanup, and unfortunately, genuinely, there's some very, very sad stories about people losing their furniture and things in their properties. It was very, very difficult. But in general, the properties, we haven't had this sort of a real backlash on that. We're just a bit of cleanup. And in most cases, we've got on with it.
And to give some comfort for people from my also technical perspective, every single villa in Dubai and every single project, as per the regulations of Dubai, is waterproofed. Just to be crystal clear.
Yeah.
The thing is, what happened is beyond the normal design standards. So in most of the cases, only where you had, let's say, some leakage, technically what happened is it wasn't a failure in the waterproofing system. You have so much flow of water that the water ramped up in some cases and entered from the shafts down to the homes. And that caused some internal damage. I'm highlighting this because the moment the water went through the shaft and went down in the areas and you've seen, like, let's say, your floor full of water, that's only peripheral damage.
Right.
It did not hit the structure. It did not go through the walls. It did not damage the reinforcement of the unit.
Right.
That's why, in my humble technical view, there is zero risk on any single villa or a structure in Dubai because everything that's happened is only peripheral, and Dubai's government forces each and every developer to make sure that his project is fully waterproof.
And if this had happened in any other part of the world, and it's a force majeure, and in force majeure, you have an act of God thing wherein the developer is not liable.
Right.
If it had happened in any other part of the world, every other developer would have just raised their hands. Right. And in Dubai, you see developers offering free repairs. They're not liable to. It's a force majeure situation.
Come from a background of building materials, right? At the end of the day, everything gets tested based on the conditions, which are local conditions. And sometimes the local conditions may not be prepared for something like this because this is an exception. Right? So I think there would be times when even those standards would perhaps have to have sort of be relooked, and it has nothing to do with the developer or the quality of the building material used in that sense, right?
Look, it's a fair point, but just to be clear, the design standards in Dubai are almost identical to the design standards in UK.
Yeah, right. And also to add to that, look, again, the damage, as you say, I mean, there's been a damage from top down. Most of the damage was drainage. There was
peripheral.
But it's water coming up, wasn't it? So it's really about looking at the drainage, as you say, on the road systems.
Yeah,
and looking at that, I think is probably. Which I'm sure they are. People far bigger paychecks than we've got will be looking at that right now.
100%. And coming back to the point that you mentioned about facility management companies, I think the great thing about something like Betterhomes, it's an integrated ecosystem, right? You've got facilities management, you've got fit outs. From a business owner point of view, do you look at your facility management division, your fit out division, as a profit center in itself? Or do you look at it as a cost center which feeds on to your exclusive property businesses?
No, these are service lines. So any service line that is to a client should be a profit center, right? that being said, so our business is, so Betterhomes is one of a number of businesses within the group. That it is not Betterhomes Fit Out, it's not Betterhomes FM. And one of the reasons is because these businesses grow beyond Betterhomes, right? So it's not just servicing our clients. They do service our clients and our property management teams, and they get preferential rates in that, absolutely. But they go way beyond that. So Octopus is one of the main fit-out FM companies across most of the villa communities now in Dubai. Our fit-out company is called Design Fit. A little plug in there. We'll get a plug in. And Design Fit are working for Omniat. They're working for Bulldozer. They're working for Jumeirah Group.
Right.
They're doing some great stuff that's way beyond what we do now. So,
Yeah.
we frankly, we run businesses for profit. Yeah. That's the end game.
And coming to development companies, Dr. Baydoun, do you see the fact that some of these companies are now going global? Right? They have properties, they're trying to develop properties in different cities. What do you think is that USP of companies based in Dubai, which could then make them succeed in international markets like DAMAC or let's say an Emaar or any other company? Do you think they have it in them to sort of go to international markets and create a niche space for themselves?
Look, obviously we are an international development company. We have projects in UK, Nine Elms. We have delivered projects in Lebanon, in Jordan. Now we're doing a project in Miami, in Maldives, you name it. We are all over the globe. Now, I'll be very honest with you on this. Sometimes you have an advantage, sometimes you don't. Because development game is a local game. So whenever you want and to design a product, you need to check what the market is offering. You need to check what are the design standards in that territory. However, given the fact that Dubai is being looked at as the #1 international cities, in some location when you go and you say, I'm an international developer that's coming from Dubai, that's bringing Dubai's lifestyle to the community, you have an edge. Right. But apart from that, if in some territories where they are already international, let's say in Miami, you have to uplift your game and to make sure that you're going to have the edge in that particular market.
Right. So do you think the Dubai lifestyle is now a brand big enough that a developer can take it to other parts of the world?
100%.
In any
I'm already doing that.
And how does it stand for brokerages? Do you think there is enough juice in the fact that a brokerage from here could become a globally diversified brokerage brand?
That's a really interesting question. Look, I think we've got a network of partner brokerages in LA, in New York, in London, and other parts of the world. And there's obviously a lot of international brands now here. The international brokerage brands here. Interestingly, there's a lot of international brokers moving here, right? There's loads of brokers from the UK, India, Middle East, America, all moving over here. Why? Because this is the best real estate market to work in. Right. Okay. Now, can we take our brand overseas and abroad? I can't see why not. I think any well-run business that knows its marketplace and knows its industry from Dubai as a homegrown business, there's absolutely no reason why they can't take those steps and grow abroad. And that will be within our growth plans in the coming years. Actually,
Richard, do you think that given the fact that in Europe now the prices are down, the real estate properties, do you think it's a good time, like, for people to invest there and for real estate agencies to open, let's say, branches there? Because personally, I think it's not a bad idea, for example, to buy in London now.
What, to set up in London?
Yeah.
To sell UAE properties?
To sell in London, or to sell UAE residents properties in London because the prices are down.
Yeah, absolutely, mate, absolutely. Whether or not you want to put the capex into a London centre, it's one thing. We work with a couple of brokerages in London already, so you try and get into that market without necessarily, taking the office space and all the rest of it.
That's smart, actually. Because eventually, what you need in the real estate is the connection, not the
correct.
space.
Yeah, correct. And you said development is a local game. Brokerage actually is still a local game, right? In many regards, even when you've got an international brokerage, most people will still go to the local town. If I'm going to go and buy in Miami. I'm not going to speak to someone necessarily in Dubai. They might put me in connection. They might network me. But I'm going to go to Miami and I'm going to speak to a guy in Miami, right? Because that's the market. And I want to know that market. I'm going to speak to someone specifically in that market. So, but to go back to your point, yeah, I think there are opportunities. there's a lot of money coming out of there over this way at the minute. So that's the way the money's flowing, which is a good thing, right? That's a good thing.
100%.
Yeah. And Farhan, what do you think?
I mean, fundamentally, all the real estate market are the same. And we are, as a company, we are targeting 2 more locations internationally over the next 3 months. So I feel it's not about Dubai as in general, it's about the company in general. So are your basics strong? Do you have your system and processes in place? Have you experimented enough in the current location you are operating in? So if your system and processes are in place, your basics are strong, and you have experimented with everything, you can replicate whatever success you have had in one market, irrespective of what the market is, and you can just copy paste it and trim it down in favor of how that market operates and start doing
sort
that.
of take it as basis. I think you spoke about it fleetingly, but I'd probably ask a fairly a cliche question. But what do you think, apart from content creation, that artificial intelligence is going to add to the real estate space? I'm probably going to ask with each one of you. So,
Look, I'll tell you my view on this on 2 sides. Right. One is the technical side, and the other side is the sales side. On the technical side, definitely AI is going to be a lot of help to automate a lot of processes that we follow in the design processes. And it's not going to take away from the talent, by the way, because I've lived through the era where people used to draw the architecture drawings by their own hands. Then the AutoCAD has been introduced. So it's taking away the job of the architect. No, it's reducing the amount of production time needed for the architects to put more time into thinking. And that's why over the last 20 years, you could see the amount of creativity in architecture in the world has substantially increased as opposed to before. And now AI was going to make even the production process more simpler. Still, the brain of the human will be required to write the prompt or to put the creative idea in place. On the sales side, as Farhan mentioned earlier, that there are a lot of potential opportunities by which you could create content, create platforms to interact with the customers directly. But I have a personal view on this. The biggest challenge will be authority, and it will be actually the copyright. The moment you go and copy your image, you create an avatar of yourself, and you create your voice, and you put it on a platform, that platform will be able to use it.
right.
You can use my face, my voice to create content, and you claim that you are Dr. Baydoun. That would be a big problem, right?
Right. Absolutely.
But that's a good idea.
Thanks, man.
What is AI going to do? AI is going to do all the things that humans are not very good at. The repetitive jobs, the tech, sometimes, as you were saying, the drawing jobs. And within real estate, there's lots of things that real estate brokers are not particularly good at, right? So some of those micro communications, I think AI is definitely going to come into that space and hopefully allow really good brokers to transact more, as you say, to spend more time with a customer, because I think the value people are spending on property, the higher the value people are spending on property, the more they will want to interact at the end with a human being.
See, essentially, there are 4 stages to a lead. First is lead capture, second is lead nurturing, third is lead closing, and fourth is post-sale services. I feel with a human presence, the AI can do all 4 of these. Can the AI create content and generate leads? Yes. Can the AI send out emails, text messages to these clients? Yes. Can the AI have an automated phone conversation with the clients? Yes. Can the AI help the client in closing by suggesting them the layouts, the designs, understanding their requirements? Yes. Can the AI offer post-sale services to the clients? Can help them in terms of documentation, registration, everything? Yes. So with a little bit of human presence, I feel the future would be how you can automate the entire customer journey using the AI.
I usually end this with a question. It's to do with one unpopular opinion within the real estate industry, and something which you think a lot of the majority population thinks it's true, but you think it's not true, or something which a majority population thinks it's false, you think it's true. So I'd love to hear each one of you give us one unpopular opinion within the real estate industry, in your opinion.
People assume that the most expensive real estate property has the best quality.
Amazing.
It's not true, by the way.
That's a great start.
It's not true at all. Because that's driven by multiple factors. First of all, it has to do how much the developer is willing to invest into his brand equity, but that's a separate story. Also, it has to do with the market conditions and when the property was built. A very good example is the villas in Palm Jumeirah. They were built like 15, 20 years ago. The value jumped up like insane. It's one of the most demanded areas in all of Dubai. At the same time, if you check the quality is not matching the price that you're paying for. Why? Because the construction took place based on the initial price,
Right.
based on which the property was sold. You are paying market premium because the location, the demand on the location went up, but that doesn't reflect the quality of the unit itself.
Very interesting. I think what you said is absolutely true because there's this umpteen amount of YouTube layman like me in real estate. I would look at those umpteen YouTube videos where there are people taking you through these walkthroughs and they're talking about how the condition of the building isn't great. So you're absolutely spot on that part. Yeah.
There was a change in the rent calculator about 2 months ago, and the popular view out there is it's a bad thing because people's rents have gone up. My view is a good thing, because we have a 2-tier rentals situation at the moment. You have those that rented 2-3 years or more ago, who have protected rents, quite low rents. And I live in Jumeirah, so I can't buy there. So I am one of them, all right? And that's creating a bottleneck in the market. People are not moving. So there's a natural lack of supply in the rental market because of this. And that means that anyone new to town is being absolutely slammed with ridiculously high rents at the moment. Right. The open market rents in Dubai today are too high. There you go. That's probably the popular opinion on the street. And I agree with that. Rents are too high. We need to stay competitive. We've got to keep attracting people from all over the world to make sure that this great city continues to grow and move forward. So to do that, actually, a shift up in the rent calculator lifts rents a little bit at that, at the older level, and hopefully we'll get people moving a little bit. And in the overall level, should bring rents down a little bit. So there's my unpopular view with my own wife because she doesn't want to pay more rent this year. But that's part of it.
Absolutely, Rick.
My unpopular opinion is, people in the industry know it, but people who are not a part of the industry, they feel real estate is easy money without realizing the amount of competition which exists right now. We are looking at roughly 10,000 transactions a month happening in Dubai. And for these 10,000 transactions, we have more than 100,000 brokers. Out of these 10,000 transactions, 30-40% are happening with the developers directly. So you have got 7,000 transactions left. Out of 7,000 transactions, more than 50-60% are buying from their existing brokers or from the brokers' references. So you have got about 3,000 to 3,500 transactions left for more than 100,000 brokers. So for one client, you have got about 30 brokers. So one of them is going to close a deal, 29 of them are not going to close the deal. So it is not easy money unless you are willing to work hard, add value, and if you are in it for longer term, you cannot succeed. You may be lucky, may have that 1 or 2 odd deals, but in the long term, you will not succeed.
That's pretty crazy, insane statistics. It's been a great time chatting with all of you. I've got some insights for someone who doesn't probably know the ABC of real estate. This was a great conversation and I can't believe I get to do this for free. But it's been a pleasure. It's been a great, well-spent Saturday. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And it's been a pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Likewise.
Thank you, guys.